Enhancing your app with animation significantly improves the user experience, making it more engaging and intuitive. That's why we have dedicated one module to this topic. Let's see what you will learn in this module. First, we're going to talk about animations in FlutterFlow. Then, we're going to talk about specifically widget animation, implicit animations, and hero animations. And you will see how you can utilize them in your application in FlutterFlow. Then we're going to talk about third-party provider animations or import animations in FlutterFlow. We're going to talk about Lottie and Rive specifically. Then we're going to review the generated code for each of these type of animations in FlutterFlow generated code. This module will be fun and engaging, just as animations are. I cannot wait to get started. In FlutterFlow, you have several options to add animations to your app. Let's start with widget animations. Widget animations allow you to add animation effects at the widget level. For example, you could add a shimmer effect when a list of products loads on a particular widget on the screen. In implicit animation, the widget automatically animates to a new property's value when they are updated. For example, the container widget animates whenever you change its size and colors. These are implicit animations. Hero animations are when a widget gracefully transitions from one screen to another. For example, on a product listing page, clicking on a product's image triggers a smooth animation where the image flies to a new screen, revealing detailed information about the product. When there is a transition between one page of your app to another, these type of animations, known as a page transition animation, in FlutterFlow, you can customize this animation to enhance the user experience. And finally, import animations. Typically, these are animations that you've created using other tools, such as Lottie files or Rive or GIF Animate. All right, let's move on to the next video and explore how you can use these animations in your FlutterFlow project. Let's talk about widget animations. First, to add an animation to a widget, go to the widget's property panel and select the animation tab. Let's zoom in a bit. Essentially, the widget animations can be run on two different categories, on page load and on action trigger. Consider an e-commerce use case where a network request retrieves a list of top products. There may be some delay between the page being first loaded and the actual results being displayed. To improve the user experience, we can add animations to let users know when content is loading. You can trigger an animation to occur as a part of an action. For example, say you want a like button animated when a user clicked on it. That's where you needed to implement on trigger action. Let's check the animation properties. Loop animation will continually repeat the animation from the start. Reverse animation reverses the animation once it completes playing. If you have loop enabled, it will reverse the animation before looping, creating a boomerang-like effect. Hide before animating is typically used when a delay is set. The widget will be visible once the animation begins. It takes the minimum delay among all the animations. If any of the animations start, the widget would become visible. And apply same duration and delay allows you to apply all the animation effects at the same time. When this toggle is disabled, adding new animations should make them staggered by default. For example, the delay of the newly added animation is calculated based on the duration and the delay of the previous animations. Then we get to the properties of each effect. These are specific to each effect and can vary from one effect to another. However, most animations have core properties you can edit, like duration, which specifies how long the animation should run, and the delay, which specifies what delay the animation should have before it starts to run. In addition, animation-specific properties usually have both a start and an end value. All right, now let's talk about effects. Let's start with fade effects. Fade makes the widget gradually appear or disappear. It's widely used to introduce elements on the screen smoothly and to focus user attention by fading in or out content or UI elements. Opacity is a specific property that fades, indicating the widget's starting or ending visibility. 0 is fully transparent and 1 is fully visible. Slide effect changes the widget's position on the screen, typically used to introduce widgets in a dynamic, visually engaging way, like sliding in menus, pages, or notifications. FlutterFlow supports both vertical and horizontal slides. The position property is specific to this effect, where 0 specifies the widget's current position. You can set minus and plus numbers horizontally or vertically. Scale effect changes the size of the widget, often used to draw attention to UI elements like magnifying buttons on hover or animating dialog boxes to appear from a central point. Scale property is a specific property for this effect, which the starting or ending multiple scale the widget horizontally or vertically, where 1 represents the current size of the widget. Rotate effect turns the widget clockwise or anti-clockwise. It's often used for simple effects like spinning or loading icons. Turns property specify the number of 360-degree rotations. Shake effect creates the shake effect on a widget, often used to draw attention to an element or indicate an error, like when a user enters incorrect information in a form field. The frequency property is for the number of shakes per second. Offset is for shake distance. A higher value intensifies and a negative value shakes the opposite direction. And rotation angle is for angle of the shake. Blur effect creates a focus or unfocus effect on a widget. It's good to have where you want to shift the user focus. The radius property is for the size of the blur. Let me give you a tip here. To create an unfocus effect, the final radius should be greater than the initial radius. The initial radius should be greater than the final radius to create a focus effect. Saturate is used to enhance visual appeal by making colors more vibrant for focused content or creating a muted effect for background elements. The strength property is specific to this effect, and 0 indicates fully desaturated, 100 represents normal saturations, and greater than 100 represents the percent saturation. Tilt effect creates a transforming effect, 3D perspective on your widget. It is typically used to add a subtle interactive element to UI components like buttons or cards, indicating user interaction or focus. You can tilt horizontally or vertically. The tilt property defines the angle at which the widget is viewed. Flip animation rotates an element around its horizontal or vertical axis, creating a mirror effect. It is often used for flipping cards in UI to reveal hidden information. For example, when you show a credit card, you can use this effect to show its front and back in your app. The flip property is where you set the angle at which the widget is viewed. Shimmer effect creates a shiny effect moving across the screen, often used to signify that data or content is in the process of loading or being fetched. There are two properties of this effect: the color of the shiny line or gradient that sweeps the widget. A common practice is to use a slightly lighter shade than the content. The angle determines the direction of the shimmer effect across the content: 0 degrees for horizontal and 90 for vertical. Tint effect adds a color overlay effect to your content. There are two specific properties of this effect: the color, which defines the overlay, and the strength, where defines the intensity of the tint. All right, we've seen different properties, but there is one that may have caught your eye that we will still have not talked about: animation curves. But what is that? Animation curves is a mathematical formula to interpolate values over time. Changing the animation curve allows you to control the speed and the style of the animation. FlutterFlow provides several typical animation curves, such as ease in. This animation starts slowly, then accelerates towards the end. It's great for creating an effect where the motion begins gently and picks up speed. Bounce. This adds a bouncing effect at the end of the animation. The animation object overshoots its final position and then bounces back like a ball bouncing after it hits the ground. To learn more about animation curves, refer to the Flutter documentation. The default in FlutterFlow animation is the ease in out curve. There's one more thing. You can apply multiple animations to a single widget. If you want to run multiple animations together for the same amount of time, enable the apply same duration and delay while adding animations. But keep in mind, by default, when you add multiple animations, applying same duration and delay is disabled, and they are executed in a series, meaning one after another, creating what we call staggered animation. To manually control the staggered animation, set the delay for your new animation based on the total duration of all previously added animations. For example, if the first two animations each last 1000 milliseconds, 1 second, the delay for the third animation should be 2002 seconds. This ensures that the third animation begins only after the completion of the first two, each lasting 1 second. A quick tip before we create a demo together. Sometimes you may want to apply or copy the same animation over and over again. That's where copying animation and pasting functionality comes in handy. All right, that's it for the theory of the animation in FlutterFlow. Let's go to the next video and create a demo together. All right, I'm back to my app builder dashboard. Let's start by adding an animation to one of our widgets. I'm going to open the product list page in this case. So imagine that we're going to add an animation on this heart icon button, which means when I click on that then or tab on this, so we want some kind of animation to happen. This is a component, so then I can open my product item card, and here you go. I have my component up and running. Let me just make it bigger a bit. I'm going to select my button in this case. So when on tab, I want also not only some action to trigger, but also to play or run some kind of animation. I'm going to go to Properties panel and click on Animations tab. And we have two types of animation, on page load and on action trigger. But I want this to happen on action trigger. Therefore, I'm coming here and then try to add an animation. Let's say I want to scale this a bit, and the duration is going to be 600 milliseconds, and I'm going to leave everything as is. I think it's going to be okay. So the next one I want to add multiple animation to this one. Also, I want to add a shake. So, and as you can see, the first delay was 0 millisecond, but the second effect that I added already got 600, which is the duration of the previous effect. So that's good. If you don't want this and you want to happen it at the same time, you can also do that. But I guess at this time, I want to keep this as 600. So these are two animations that we are added. But what else we want to do? So actually, I can preview that right away. All right. And if there is multiple animation, we can preview them all. All right, let's actually make a little bit change to scale. I want to just make this 1 point, probably 3 or 2. And that should be good for now. Let's play all and see. Yeah, perfect. It looks much better. So now I'm going to go to action and I will open my action flow editor. We already have one action for this button. What we're going to do, we're going to say after this action, or you may even be able to do it at the same time in parallel, but I'm going to just do that after this action. I'm going to add another action. So then here I'm looking for widget animation. There you go. You can find it under animation category. So because you already added the widget animation, you already have that. But before I select that, let's take a look which widget we added an animation. It was selected button. And as you can see, I already renamed my widget, so it's easy to identify it. All right, let's open the action again. So in this case, if I choose the widget animation, you will see that the selected button is appearing. Fantastic. So now we need to identify which type of animation it is. And as you can see, it will be an action type of start, stop, reset, and reverse. And the start means it needs to start right away. And if it's a type of animation that you want to stop, you can choose that. Or reset and reverse, as you have these options. So I'm going to go and choose start animation, and I will make this non-blocking. So because I don't want this animation to block anything. Let's also rename this action, call it selected button action animation. All right, let's now go to profile setting page. So here, what we're going to do, we're going to actually add slide effect to each of these items that they should come right after each other to the screen, but on page load, which means we need to go back to our animation and select the on page load in this case. And we're going to add slide effect this time. So what is going to happen? Let's think about it for a second. We want this item to move all the way outside of the screen and then come to the screen. And they should come right after each other. So what we need to do then is we need to go on the slide initial position for horizontal slide and then give it a number. But what number should you give? Like I can go all the way to -100 or -200 or -300. Here is where we can actually use the variables. We can actually set that based on the variable. So let's go ahead and open that. You already have the screen size width from the global properties, but you don't want the screen width as is. You actually want to keep it as minus or even further, and then which means the item needs to go off the screen. What should we do in this case? For this case, we're actually going to use code expression. A code expression is a simple way to write very simple logic, especially mathematical logic. All right. So as you can see, it asks like what type of argument you have for these expressions. Expressions, in fact, is going to be a very simple function. So I'm going to say, I'm going to pass to you, let's add an argument. Let's call it width. And let's say the width is going to be a double. And what is this width? So we can set that from variable. And this time you can select it from a screen size. Good. So now you have a variable called width. That's an argument. Good. So in the expression block, now I can say I want actually minus width. So to be on the safe side, I can say maybe even minus 100, like just minus the width plus minus 100. So go off the screen. Let's see if there's any error. No error. Fantastic. I'm going to give a default value in case it's just not going to happen. I'm going to give a default value also in this case. Let's confirm. There you go. So we added this one for the first one. We're going to copy that for the others. Let's quickly go and copy the animation, select the second one, go to the action, paste, and then repeat the same for all of them. Fantastic. But there's just one slight problem after copying. So the first one is going to have 0 delay, which is expected. And it's going to take 600 milliseconds. The second one should be 600 millisecond duration, but the delay must be 600, which is the duration of the previous effect. And the third one, because we already have two 600, the duration, then it's going to be 1200. And the fourth one is going to be 3600, 1800. Beautiful. So let's do one more thing. So not always you have the items like this, which you need to apply like manually one by one. What if you have a generated list? Let's say a product list page in this case. As you can see, you have a list view, and these items are coming dynamically. So how can you make these items in this list view to animate? Let's say we're going to have the product item in the list view to animate, like to fade one by one, staggered. Okay. So what we're going to do right now, but we don't know actually the list of the list view, right? So what we're going to do right now, because these values are not really fetching from any APIs, they're actually hard-coded in our state. So I'm going to go and quickly just add on page load animation. Let's do a fade animation in this case. So what do we want to do? We only have the delay, and we already know the delay is the accumulative number of the previous duration of the item in the list. So which means I can open the set from variable, and I go to the code expression because I want to just write a simple expression here. Let's say what we're going to do. We're going to say if the first index is 0, then multiple by 600. And for the first item, do this. Second, do this. Third, do this. So we need index of the list in the item. So I'm just going to keep this as index, add an argument, and I'll name it index. So the index is going to be an integer. And what is the value for that? The value is the index of this item that we have in the list. Just going to open that, select my product list item, and the available option is going to be index in the list. That's a number. Beautiful. All right. So now I have the index multiple by 600, which is the duration of the animation. Let's see if there's any error. No error. Fantastic. And that's appearing as products list index, which is nice. Gonna give it a default value and confirm. All right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and test it out right now in run mode. All right, our app is now running. Let's go to the profile setting. Beautiful. All of these items are coming right after each other. Let's actually take a look at that. I really liked it. Nice. You can play around with the duration to make it a bit faster, but let's do it one more time. It's looking very nice. So the second one is going to be the home page, like the product list page. And we're expecting, fantastic, the top selling items should actually come, as you've seen, one by one with fade effects. Let's change the page again. And there you go. Now you have the top selling coming right after each other. All right, now let's test the favorite icon. When I tap on that, so you'll see that this is actually scaling and shaking. Beautiful. Very nice. So I'm going to go to profile setting one more time. We have a staggered animation here and another staggered animation here, plus one widget item. So now you can go ahead and add animation to any of your widgets. Awesome. Everything is working as expected. Let's move on to the next video and see how FlutterFlow helps you to automatically animate some widgets. In Implicit Animation, the widget automatically animates to a new property's value when updated. For example, the container widget animates whenever you change its size and colors. Here are some examples of how it looks when you update the widget properties with and without Implicit Animation. Implicit Animation is recommended only when you run the animation once, usually after properties are changed. Typically, the Implicit Animation toggle appears in the Properties panel when you select a simple widget, such as Container or Text widget. These two widgets can be animated at the moment of recording of this video. And that's about it. Let's go and take a look at a demo. All right, here's my App Builder dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and add animation to my card counter. And that's a component right now. I'm just going to open the card counter. Let's make it a bit bigger. So I do have this text where the number of items added to the cart is appearing here. And if I open the widget tree, I have also a container here. So that means I can animate both of this. So either the container or the text. In fact, we're going to do both of them. Let's just start with container. If I select the container, then in the properties panel, all the way at the bottom, you will see the implicit animated. So I'm going to enable this right now. You can select between different curves. So let's select for now elastic and the duration 500. It looks good. But the implicit animation happens when a property of container is changing. Let's take a look at the properties. We have different properties here: diameters, fill color, border, and so on. So first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that the conditional is actually disabled. So otherwise you don't see that animation. So I just disabled this right now. But what we will do here instead, we're going to make sure when there is no item, we're going to just make it 0. And when there is an item, make it 20. We can achieve that by setting from variables. So in my set from variables, I have conditional value. So let's select that. And I can select my condition based on the list properties of the cart items, which is from app state. So we're going to add the cart items. And here I will say is set and not empty. If anything is added to the cart, then that's going to be true. So in this case, just make sure that the number is 24 or like 20. And then the value when it's empty, it's 0, so that the container is not visible. Let's confirm that. There you go. Now I have this animation up and running. So let's go ahead and test it out. The app is running. I go to Profile Settings, and I'll make sure that we don't have any state. I'll reset that. Go to Home page. All right, there's nothing here, so no container for the card. Let's add 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. And I'm going to add one add to bag. And just look at the card that is appearing on top. There you go, which is very nice. So let's now go ahead and actually remove the animation from container and add it to the text. So when it's appearing, so then see how we can animate the text. So this time I go to the container. Let me just actually disable the implicit animation so that doesn't happen on the container. But this time I'm going to go and select the text. And in the properties panel, then I go to the text properties. So we need to make some of these properties or one of these properties to change in order to make the implicit animation happen. So I'll do that with font size in this case. I'm going to repeat exactly the same thing that we've done with the container, using a condition, selecting the app state of cart items, and if they are set and not empty, so the value would be 14 and otherwise 0. Then I will now enable animate changes. And this time we're going to have two different properties, same as container, duration and animation curve. So I will go ahead and this time select bounce. Perfect. Let's go ahead and run the application one more time. All right, the app is running. Let me go to profile setting. I want to make sure that there is no state. Go to homepage. All right, there is no container, no text here. Let's add a few products. All right, nice. I'm just going to add to bag right now and take a look at the text that is appearing on top. Beautiful, with a bounce effect. And that's what we were looking for. Great, everything is working as expected. Now it's time to talk about hero animation in the next video. Hero animations are when a widget gracefully transitions from one screen to another. Let's go ahead and create and implement this in our application. All right, I'm back in my application right now. You can transition from one page to another when you have two images, similar one on two different pages. Or you can do that also with components. So what we're going to do right now, we have this profile avatar. And when I click on that, it actually goes to profile setting page. And this is my avatar. However, the circle image here does not really using the avatar profile component. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to go and open the widget tree, and I will remove this circle image. And instead, I'm going to insert a component profile avatar here. Beautiful. So now we have this avatar. Let's just make this a bit bigger. So I'm just going to change the diameter to 220. Perfect. Now we are using the profile avatar, the same component in profile setting page. Perfect. Let's go back to profile list page and select the profile avatar component. And as you can see now, you have an option available in properties setting says use hero animation. I'm just going to select this. And in this case, you need to create a tag. A tag is going to be unique identifier of this component for this page and the other page. So let's go ahead and create a tag. That now I have one tag and it's selected. Now I will go back to my other page, profile setting, and I will select my profile avatar. And the same thing is happening here as well. You see, I have used hero animation in my properties panel. Let's enable this. But this time, if I open that, I will see my tag here. So let's select the tag that we just selected from our profile avatar. All right, that's good. But there's one more thing we need to do, and that's navigation. So we need to go from this page to other page. So I will go back to my product list page, select the profile avatar, and I will add an action. In this case, I will add on tap an action that navigates to profile setting page. So we will learn more about this in upcoming modules, but for now, let's keep this as simple as navigating to a simple page. All right, everything is ready. Let's go ahead and test it out. All right. We're now in the home page. Let's click on avatar. There you go. You see the animation. Let's go back. There you go. Very nice. Beautiful. All right, beautiful. It's working as expected. Let's move on to the next video. There are two major providers that helps you build 2D animations. Lottie files are high quality, they do not pixelate, smaller than GIFs or GIFs, easy to add to any platform. They are in fact a JSON-based animation file format, so a specific player is needed to run the animation. In FlutterFlow, the Lottie Animation widget allows you to display Lottie files from uploaded assets or the URL link. Another provider is Rive. Rive is a real-time interactive design and animation tool. Using the Rive Animation widget, you can easily import your Rive assets to FlutterFlow and use them inside your app. You can also load from network or from the URL. Let's actually see them in action. Here is my application. I want to make a change here. I want to make sure whenever we have this list view, let's find it also in widget 3, there's a container. When the list is empty, then we don't want to show this. Instead, we want to show some kind of animation. So first thing, I want to select my container and I will add a condition here. In this case, I will say a condition, a single condition, is going to be based on my app state and from the products state. And from the available option, I will select whenever it's not empty. That means we have some product, okay? And what should be that? Like when the list is set and not empty, we're just gonna say true. Okay, whenever this one is true, then show this container. Beautiful. In that case, we're gonna go and use a row. So I'm just gonna use both Rive and Lottie Animation in one row. And I'm gonna say this row, a condition, and I will set a single condition, same as what we did, just from app state, the products, and whenever it's set and is not empty. But this time, this should be false, like when it's empty. All right, confirm. So if it's not empty, then it's gonna be this list view, otherwise this row. But what we're gonna do in this row is gonna be animations. So let's choose Lottie Animation widget. Let's drag and drop it here. There you go. In the properties panel, you'll see that now you have Lottie's animations properties. You can load them from a URL. Here is the path. And as you can see, this is a JSON. Or you can upload it. I will select the network and I will also find a network file, put it here. You have other options as well. Like for example, you can automatically animate it or make the animation type like once or loop. And also make sure the box fit, which means so how much this widget is going to take up the available space. So I'm going to go and actually choose everything as is. And in this case, I'm not going to use this default one. I will go and find other files. Let's see what we can do. Here is the Lottie files website. So what you can do here, you can log in and go to dashboard and start creating your own animation. Or another thing you can do, you can go to search and search for what you're looking for and find something that is already created. I'm going to just search for nothing found. Beautiful. Lots of animation already created for us. And I'll see that actually this one looking pretty nice. So let's select that. So what you can do right now, you can import this or download it to your dashboard. I'm just going to click on download to download it to my dashboard. And there you go. You can now go ahead and modify this and create your own animation. There are lots of options. Or you can go ahead and download a JSON file and upload it as an asset. And if you are a premium member, you can also do a better optimized version, or even download in other format like GIF or MPEG. But I'm actually interested on Lottie file, JSON file. There's another option is that the handoff. You can create an asset URL for this animation. So if you enable that, you will get an asset link in this case, which is a JSON file. I'm just going to copy that right now and paste it to my widget. There you go. It's appearing. Before we're running and testing that, let's do Rive animation. I'll search for Rive to find the Rive animation widget. Let's drag and drop it here. So the Rive animation properties come on the properties panel. You can also load it from network, and you need to find a Rive file, and the Rive file comes with .rive as their suffix. So also you can upload it as an asset. You can download the file and upload it. It just depends on how you want to do that. If you upload it as an asset, it will be bundled with your application. But if you do it from network, it always gets it if the internet is available. The Rive file usually comes with different artboard. This is specific to Rive. But let's go ahead and see how you can load this. Let's go ahead and find some Rive animations. Here's the Rive website. You can actually log in right now and go to the Rive dashboard and start creating your own animation, then download and use it in your app. Or alternatively, you can go to the community under the files. You can discover a lot of animations that are already created. Maybe download them to your dashboard and start modify them and then use them in your application. In fact, I'm going to search for nothing found, see what else we can find here. There are many options. In fact, I think I really like this chameleon. I'm just going to go to this chameleon. And I'm already logged in, so therefore I can go ahead and either preview it in Rive or using Remix. I'm going to use Remix just to quickly be able to download it. This animation comes with different artboard, from download to diff submit or cat or this artwork. I will go ahead and just export this file. So then in Rive animation, I'm going to select the asset and then upload my file. Once it's uploaded, then I can select it here. There you go. And once the file is loaded, there will be some properties available to you. For example, there were a couple of artboards, right? And we need to select one of them. So in fact, I'm going to go and select the artboard for chameleon. Well, you can also select other things like the button or maybe the cat. So let's go ahead and select the artboard. There are different animations state for this file, like idle and eat and so on. I'm just going to select a couple of them and just preview. Yeah, looks good. And I will make sure that is continuous in this case. And I will leave the rest as is. Perfect. Let's go ahead and just run our application to test it out. App is running, profile setting. Let's reset the app state, which means no product whatsoever. So let's go to homepage. And there you go. The animations are loading beautifully, both Lottie's and Rive animation. And if I now go ahead and add one product, they're gonna disappear. Beautiful. Let's test out one more time. Go to profile. I'm gonna make sure that I'm resetting my app state. And there you go. They are appearing. Beautiful. Let's now move on to the next video and see how these animations are in fact reflected in the generated code. All right, back to my VS Code and generated code. So I'm going to go under the lib folder and let's start with the widget animations. So we added the widget animation to product list page. Let's open that. Let's start by finding the list view. That was where we added our staggered animations. Here is my list view, as you can see, and we're having an item builder where we're returning an align widget. So, and my child, which is this product that we are creating, is wrapped with model. We already have seen that in the previous generated code videos in the previous module. And then that is going to call an onAnimate on page load, where it's going to accept an animation map and then the types of effect that it has on animation load. Let's explore on animation page. This is going to be a function which is going to run all the different animations and use the animate widget to animate your animations. All right, great. So we're also passing an animation map here in this case. So let's actually take a look at animation map. So the animation map is just a map of the animation type as well as the animation info. So as you can see right now, we have the product item cards on page load animations, and that's defining when it's going to happen. So if you have a different items that you want to run animation on, that's going to be added on this list here. That was the widget animations. So the next widget animation was on the product setting page, which we added already on the column items. Let's go and find them out. And there you go. Here's my column, which is again wrapped with model. And as you can see, it's also calling an animate on page load on each of these items, the product setting items that we defined. And this time, if I check the animations map, you will see that we have multiple animations here because each of the items had different animations, and each of them, they had animations on page trigger. And there's one thing here interesting, and that's the value that we added here. So we added the media query size of width, which means the screen width minus 100, and that's totally a minus. So it's going to be off the screen completely. Next, let's take a look at our implicit animations. So I'm going to go to the card counter. So we had an animations already on a container and a text. Let me just find the text. Here is my text widget where I'm actually showing the card item list. And as you can see right now, this widget is wrapped by animated default text style because we said that we're gonna actually go from 0 to 14 when the card item is not empty as a font size. And the duration is 600 milliseconds. The curve is defined. And that is when the implicit animation is happening. All right, next, let's take a look at hero animation. I'm going to go to product list page. Here is my profile avatar as well. And as you can see right now, my profile avatar widget is wrapped by a hero widget, which has a tag. This is a tag that we already added in FlutterFlow. And the next step was the profile setting page. Let's open that. Looking for the profile avatar. And in the profile setting page, we do have exact same thing, same tag, and wrapped by hero. And that's how generated code for hero animation works. All right, let's go one more time to product list and check out the Rive animation as well as the Lottie. Here is the row that we added already, and we already defined if the product are empty, so in this case, they're gonna show. And as you can see, the Lottie is going to be a widget, which is added to the generated code and is loading the JSON. And as you can see, the Rive animation is also a widget that is loading a Rive file, but from the assets. All right, if I now open my assets folder, so you'll see that I have the Lottie animations. If I uploaded anything, I have not uploaded anything for that yet, but for Rive animation, I uploaded a file. So there you go. Here is my file. And last thing I want to mention is if you check the PubSpec YAML file, there are multiple packages that are already added. For example, the Rive package, the Lottie package, as well as Flutter Animate package. The Flutter Animate package is where you get multiple effects. Let me just go ahead and show you. This effect, or all of the effects that you've seen, are actually loaded from this package. And that's it all about generated code. Happy coding!